Jeez, we don't even own this building.
Shazam!
Oh, God.
That's some weird sexual euphemism I've never heard before.
Put some holes in your roof?
Yeah, I guess.
No, it's when you say Shazam!
Again.
By the way, I'm already recording, and that's how I'm going to say it every time we talk about Shazam! I have to say it like Shazam!
Shazam!
we also got to be careful out here because everything is fire, not resistant. It's fire.
As we drove out here, there was a fire.
There was a fire in front of us.
Fucking Santa Clarita.
Yeah.
Not a safe place for Shazam! I will stop.
We gotta stop. It's gonna spread to the other houses.
I do wonder
boy.
what your quote-unquote best self would look like. Would it just end up being Zach again?
I think my best self is Idris Elba.
That would be amazing if you said that and suddenly became Idris Elba.
What would my best self be? What if my best self is one of the people from Cats? Well, my face is just kind of floating the wrong way, but I have very flowy, elegant body.
You are also Idris Elba, just Idris Elba from Cats.
Why are we doing?
I knew we were soulmates.
He actually didn't look as bad as the rest of them did. The worst one is the main girl. Like, her face just looks like it's floating in the wrong part.
It is. Oh man, it's rough. Rough.
They should never have given them human lips.
I'm so happy.
I think Johnny's right on that one.
I am so happy. I can't say where I work, but where I work, I'm able to watch things on a big screen. And when Matt came out to visit, I forced him to watch the Cats trailer in a full-blown big screen environment. He was quite disturbed. It was wonderful. So anyhow, welcome to After the Hype. With me, your host, as always, Brian Dressel. With me, as always, is Jonathan Hardis.
My best self was Ken Marino.
I don't think Ken Marino is Ken Marino's best self.
He just appears and he's like, yep, I'm here.
And CHEWIE Darcy.
I'm really sad that my best self doesn't have genitals.
I don't even need to talk about the movie. Nothing will be better than that.
All right, hang it up.
That's it for today. Now,
And now for a review system of this bit. I'll give
it's
it
gold.
I'll give it a moldy banana.
Not a bruised banana this time.
No, the banana's been out there for a while.
It's a healthy banana. So Shazam. Oh boy. Is the movie we'll be talking about after we do a very quick Where Have You Been Doing? I don't know why I'm going full purred happily on this one, but apparently I am. So where have you been doing? I've been watching Parks and Rec. This is not a bit. I actually have been watching Parks and Rec. Maybe that's why I'm going full purred happily with stuff. I decided to start rewatching it not that long ago, maybe a few weeks, and about 2/3 of the way through it. Up to this point, it has been very pleasant. I always really liked the show. It was such a good show for a while, and then it just completely dropped the ball in my opinion. Yeah,
That's mine.
that one's yours.
I think so. Yeah.
Either way, as we said before, I think like 2-3 weeks ago, when you hear babies crying now in the background of our episode, don't worry, they're fine. They're just closer than they used to be.
Yeah.
John, what about you?
So I've been watching, or I have finished watching, The Boys from Amazon.
We're so behind on this. Everyone is watching it, and we haven't even started.
We watch a lot of stuff.
Yeah, no, I mean, and I'm a little biased just because I've done some special feature stuff that hasn't come up on the actual X-ray yet.
Oh, okay.
But so I was like, all right, well, I'm going to watch it this time. Because for the previous ones, I haven't been as interested. We did some stuff for Homecoming, and it's like, that type of thing isn't quite my bag in terms of entertainment. So
Is that the Julia Roberts show?
yeah, the Julia Roberts
okay,
show.
sure.
It was really well done, but again, just not my cup of tea. And we've done some stuff for Goliath and all that before. So I was interested to see, and like a super violent superhero is kind of an edgy thing. I was like, let's see what it's all about. And it was entertaining. I enjoyed it. I felt really kind of bummed and melancholy and cynical at the very end of it, but because that's the take that the whole series has.
Oh, yeah.
But it was entertaining. It was fun.
I like that Seth Rogen's doing another Garth Ennis thing. Like he knows that material pretty well.
Yeah, and
he's willing to not just remake it. Like he'll make it his own, which is, I think, pretty impressive.
that I think is going to be the strongest part of The Boys, because from what I've read after watching this, and I've talked to other people, friend of the show, Johnny and some other folks, about the actual comic and just how it's toned back and streamlined, like taken out some of its more edgelord tendencies and really kind of focused it more.
Okay.
So I haven't read that, so I don't really have that knowledge, but it seems like from what people who have seen and read all of it are saying is that it's a much more cohesive, maybe more focused.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And it's I mean, Simon Pegg is in there. That was really fun, and his American accent's kind of weird. But, yeah.
I'll have to check it out. Joey, what about you?
I haven't really been able to do much this past week. So I'll just talk about the fact that Brian agreed to watch Grimm.
I did on this show.
You watched 3 episodes so far, right?
3 or 4.
You watched
I think
the
3.
first episode, you watched the one with the bear, you watched the one with the bees. I think
I think
that's
that's-
it.
I think that's right,
where
it
you've
was
gotten
the
so
bee
far.
people, yeah.
And Brian being a Grimm virgin, I'm going to go with that.
That's a frightening title.
A Grimm virgin. It's been a while since I rewatched it. It's been since I watched the initial pilot, I guess. It's been another 2 years, I guess, maybe? Year and a half. And I had even forgotten how starkly different the pilot was from the rest of the show. It just in the tone, the way they shot it, the color, the pacing, everything. It was just like they had very different technical team, it felt like, in the pilot. And then Brian, you going like, I didn't know this was a procedural.
Yeah,
It was really interesting.
I thought it was more Monster of the Week, like Buffy, where it's like, here's a monster, how do we defeat it? And it's more like, a monster murdered a guy, let's solve that murder. Yep, it was the monster.
Somehow I need to prove that he murdered that person and not just be like, he's a bear man.
Except for the mom who can turn into an actual bear for some reason.
Yeah, but he can't say that to people. That's the thing. That's the interesting part. That's the hook. He knows this, but you can't tell it to everybody else because they'd be like, you crazy, man.
I will say this, so far I have enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I can see the appeal. I don't know how much it has its proverbial bear claws into me yet.
Well, you haven't gotten into any of the lore yet. The
No,
only
I
thing
haven't.
you've seen is the key, but that's just a little moment when the ant gives him the key. You have no idea that the key is an overarching thing through the entirety of the show.
Just be careful, though, because halfway through this season, or the series, Aubrey Plaza starts really playing just herself.
No,
Ugh.
she's
guess
not
I
in it
won't
at all. She's not one of the rando people from other shows we enjoy that's on the show.
I will say that rewatching Parks and Rec has made me soften on my dislike of Aubrey Plaza a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of going back to I might enjoy her a little bit. Yeah. All I have to do is just throw on
Good.
Ingrid Goes West and throw that right back in the other direction.
Just try to forget you ever saw that movie.
Oh, I hate that movie.
Most people forgot that movie happened at this point.
I wish I could. Speaking of things that I don't want to forget this movie. I love this movie. Shazam!
Again, the roof.
Bringing it down.
Yeah, should I throw in a sound effect of a lightning strike
Every single time?
we
Yeah.
say Shazam?
Our cell phones are charged.
Because essentially in the edit you'll be like, why?
Charged.
Because in the edit you'll be like, why did I agree to this?
Yeah,
And as we're listening, we're like, why did you do this? So it's like synchronous.
Halfway through the edit, it's just gonna stop because I'm gonna be tired of doing it.
You ran out of power.
Yeah. So Shazam, I can do a very, very quick breakdown. Shazam's movie came out earlier this year. It stars Zachary Levi. Is it Levi or Levi?
Levi.
It was
Levi? Levi?
I don't know.
I don't know. Chuck. It stars Chuck.
It starts Chuck.
Stars Chuck and a kid from It. But no, so it stars Zachary Levi and I'm forgetting everyone's names. I shouldn't have done this. Mark Strong. I was going to say Sinestro. Because he was also Sinestro.
Yeah,
Right.
and Zachary Levi was also what's his face in Thor.
Yeah, who remembers? Who that
Never
was?
remember his
Yeah,
name. Robin Hood.
One of the other ones. The not Thor in that movie. So yeah, it's a movie about a kid who gets powers from a wizard to whenever he says the magical word, Shazam, he becomes a superhero, but he's still a 14-year-old kid in an adult's body. This might sound a little familiar if you've ever seen the movie Big. And basically he learns to become the best superhero he can be, gives his powers to his family so that they can all be superheroes too, which is awesome. They defeat Mike Strong because he wanted power for undisclosed reasons, which might be my biggest problem with the movie. And everyone saves the day, and Mr. Mind teams up with Mark Strong at the end. And if you don't know, Mr. Mind is a talking caterpillar. I love this movie, and I don't really know how else to say that. I just really loved this movie.
I mean, it touches on all your key things.
It really does.
Do you want to go to Brian's heart? Find a young, youthful male.
Good Lord!
Do an origin story. Have it be a little bit about family and how that is dramatic. And then have him also be a superhero. All right, you're winning. Brian loves this.
I'm not wearing a Batman shirt right now.
Not at all.
I like superheroes. Sue me. It's like
It's not just that. You love coming of age movie.
I
and this
do
is
love
a
coming of age.
And this isn't just an origin superhero story. This is
like-
a coming of age superhero story.
This is the perfect like joining of coming of age at the same time as coming as a superhero, like
Yeah.
becoming a superhero.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of what I miss from Spider-Man. They put it into this movie.
I'm going to do later on in this episode, I don't know at what point exactly, because I kind of made my own mental show
14
notes.
minutes and 23 seconds.
Thank you. Exactly at that moment. We're not quite there yet. But I want to talk about the comparisons between this movie and Marvel, because I think this is where we finally have struck that, this is what we're doing differently. Because I think Aquaman borrowed some pages out of Marvel's book. This is the first time I'm like, I don't think this one really used a single play out of their book. I don't think. I could be wrong, but we'll get into it.
I know exactly where I feel like it might have been a little Marvel-y,
Yeah.
but also had its own tone.
You know what? We're here. Let's just do it. Then we'll move into the movie after that. What is the moment that you think that...
The most Marvel-y movie or moment in this movie is the bus sequence when he's saving the bus. When
Sure.
he makes a mistake, which honestly doesn't really happen in Marvel movies too much. They don't make mistakes.
You already got my counter argument, but okay.
But he has to save people in the bus, and it's a very dramatic moment, but they make it funny the whole time. But they make it funny with a twist in this DC movie, where you still feel the peril of the moment, which is the difference between the Marvel movies, where you kind of forget the peril during their comedic moments. In this one, it's more of it's a 14-year-old kid. He doesn't know how to save anyone on this bus. Like they're all about to die.
The humor
but it's
is
funny.
The humor is working with the character development here,
Yeah.
which is almost never the case with Marvel movies. I mean, there are some where they do better at it, but like
Yeah,
But, like-
movie to movie, there are some that do better, yeah. But like that's the thing, is like this one, it has its funny moments, which are very funny. It has its charming moments, but it's also not afraid to be serious, and it's really not afraid to have those really great superhero movie moments that we haven't had since like the early 2000s. Like I always go back to Spider-Man 2, like when they knew when to pull back and be serious. Like Sam Raimi nailed it every time.
Yeah.
And this movie did the same thing. Like this one, like I think this is the movie that I loved as much. Maybe not as much as Spider-Man 2, but it's that same level. Like that was exactly what I wanted in a comic book movie that I haven't had in such a long time.
Well, and it's interesting to see people's reactions to this movie, being kind of surprised that like there's scary moments in this, and that there's really serious moments, and that there's just such a much more extreme element to all those.
Yeah.
But that was what people really feel nostalgic about for movies in the 80s. Like
Yeah.
like those movies that when you look back, like, wow, that was dark. It's like, yeah, wow, this was dark, but kids can handle. This was the type of thing that kids can handle.
It
level.
wasn't like, because it's. I don't want to say it's a kids movie because it's
No,
not.
but it
they
has
left
it
it
ha-
at PG-13.
It has
for
that
a reason.
that element though. It has that like where it's
Yeah.
like it's just scary enough. It's got that horror element which just gives it such a unique feel. But then especially calling out the scene where the mother rejects Billy
Yeah.
Batson, like I got really affected by that while I was watching it. I had to step away for a little bit because it was like the movie could go there. And I know we keep harping on Marvel, but they seem to be kind of in this kind of heightened sense. They're always up here, kind of a little bit above, where it's like the jokes are coming, we're serious, but the jokes are coming. We got to keep riding that high a little
Yeah.
bit.
And
Like
this
we're
one-
on that 2 hour bender. We're gonna laugh. We're not gonna really cry, but we're gonna laugh. We're gonna kind of feel a little sad joke. This was like we're gonna make you feel sad.
Oh yeah, and like this one, it was unafraid to do it, and like that entire sequence between him and his mom, I think is probably the best acted sequence of the entire movie, which is too bad because Zach's not in it, and I think Zach is wonderful, and I'm very excited he has this movie. But that kid, I don't think
You have to give that moment to the kid.
absolutely 100%.
Because, in the end, because that's who this character is. I mean, I love Zachary's performance.
He's great.
But we're supposed to be focusing on him being a kid.
Yeah.
And if he had been Zachary, it totally would have been deflated.
Yeah, it wouldn't have worked. Like if it was Zachary in like some sort of disguise trying to find his mom, like it wouldn't have worked. And I mean, I don't think Zach could pull off a dramatic scene, no problem. Like I haven't seen every episode of Chuck, but I've seen enough. Like he can do serious moments. He's great.
But that's the thing is like you still believe that he's the same, like that those two characters are exactly the same because Zach is able to kind of be the wingman to this kid's performance here and
Yeah.
really pay it off in every step, even as his action hero self.
He brings the kid up a lot because I don't
Yeah.
think the kid does a great job in really any sequence but the one with his mom. I think the kid is good. Don't get me wrong. I think
Yeah.
he does a very, very good job. He wasn't miscast. I think he was very, very good. I just don't think he's the strongest actor in the world. I think the kid who plays Freddy is leaps and bounds. Like that kid is amazing. Especially you go to it and then to this. Such starkly different characters. He's great.
And to have such like presence on screen, like, yeah, it does overshadow him quite a bit in the beginning.
And then, like, just moving forward, we're going way out of order on this thing, like crazy, but whatever. But like when you go later on in the movie, when the adults, when all the kids get their adult personifications, I think the girl who did Darla, was that Megan Good? I want to say,
I don't know.
I believe it was Megan Good. I think she did a great job. And then the one who does the absolute best is Adam Brody.
I was surprised.
Adam Brody, how the fuck they got Adam Brody to keep his mouth shut about being in this movie, I will never know. I'm sure it had to do with
Also, how like
something with a truck of money in his front door. But
how
I feel
this
like
wasn't
he's just a really good cameo, but without being a cameo actor. I feel like he's done it in more than one film for me.
sure, but this didn't feel like a cameo to
But
me.
that's why I said being
Yeah.
a cameo kind of, because he's famous. Everyone knows Adam Brody.
Yeah.
That's usually why they call it a cameo, but he doesn't feel that way.
No, like because in Shazam 2, when that comes out, because apparently they're trying to make that thing as soon as humanly possible, he will be a major character in it. Like he will be in the movie far, like way more in the next one. I think that's great because he like just the mannerisms of child Freddy to adult Freddy are the exact same. Like Adam Brody got his laugh down, he got like facial tics down, like he got everything down perfect. Where it felt like it was the same character. And even the casting was great. He even looked like a grown-up version of him. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, no, it was very interesting approaching this movie with absolutely no knowledge, having seen all the ads, and yet still being surprised by so many moments of this movie. The marketing did a fairly good job on this because
You had no idea the Marvel family was coming.
Yeah, the whole family of Shazam people. I was like, my God, I was hoping they would do that. Other movies don't do this.
Yeah.
Whereas like, just you have the power. They have the power. There's a stick. Give it to them. And it's like, oh, he's doing that.
Yeah.
They have the powers. Oh, this has ramifications. This can balloon out and get out of control. That's kind of cool.
Also had one of my favorite actual comedic moments of the whole movie.
What was that?
Say my name,
Oh,
Billy. No, other name.
that is one of those moments, like, as it's happening, like, they're going to say Billy. They're going to say Billy.
Because
They said Billy!
Of course they said Billy.
And
It was amazing.
it is so weird to see something like this wear all of its emotions on its sleeve, but do so deftly.
Yeah.
That's a very hard line to toe, especially with so many superhero movies. Just in general, we have so many of them. This is like it. I was very surprised at a lot of points in this movie.
And we still have a fairly young director at the helm here. Like, he hasn't done a ton. Like, he did a lot of short films back in his home country.
David F. Sandberg.
I was going to say it. I know his name. But so he made some short films, and then he got all based on one of his short films. He got Lights Out when James Wan produced that, and that movie was okay. I remember we saw it in theaters, and I remember just kind of going, "It was all right."
It was a better trailer than it was a movie.
It was a better short. Like the short was amazing. Short was freaky as hell. And then the movie was okay, and then he did Annabelle Creation, which was good.
Oh, I loved Animal Creation.
Yeah, I remember watching that going like, okay, he's growing a lot. And then I heard at that point he had Shazam. I'm like, I'm excited to see it.
Yeah.
And this is a guy who's coming from making movies with his wife in a bedroom who got lucky. And now he made what I think is one of the best balanced superhero movies. And I don't even know how long. Like the balance of like the emotions, the comedy, the action, the story. It's perfect. Perfect's a strong word, but close. About as close to perfect as you can get, I think, for this style of superhero movie. It's great.
Yeah. I
You
thought
are
he did an
correct.
amazing job. I don't know how else to build off that. It's just he gets the wonderment like you were talking about with the 80s, the wonderment and the danger kind of like of youth in a way.
Yeah,
and
like
one
that-
of the things like he was able to touch on 3 tropes for youth in this movie. Daddy issues, mommy issues, and who is my family?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it's just so many times when you become a teenager, your hormones are going nuts, and you're trying to figure out who you are. And a lot of times you start watching these movies where kids are like, you're secretly a royal member. This isn't your real family. You are actually something, something. This is your true family. This is where you really belong. And it's a very common trope. And he plays with all three of those, where we have the evil guy, Dr. Silvana, or Thad, which I actually love that name.
Sinestro.
Yeah, whatever. And he's got his daddy issues, where his dad always put him down, didn't think he was a man.
Blamed him for being paralyzed.
Yeah. And then you have the main killer. What was that? Billy Batson, dealing with his mom issues of, my mom didn't abandon me. She clearly wants me. She just hasn't been able to find me. And then, having to figure out who his true family actually is and accepting that it's these people that he's not related to in any way, which is the type of thing where you feel like when you're a young kid, your friends understand you more than any of your blood relatives do.
Yeah.
And especially with just our current generations and everything, that happens a lot.
I think that might be why I attach myself to the movie as much as I did, because I love my family. Do not get me wrong in any way, shape, or form. They're wonderful people, and I'm very close to them. But we also moved across the country from them.
Yeah.
I don't live anywhere near any of my family members, so a lot of my friends have de facto become my family. Because I just don't have the capabilities to be next to everyone like I wanted to. And because of that whole chosen family, and that becomes a thing here, where he did not choose to be in this house, but he chooses to call them family.
Yeah, because he could just keep running away.
He could.
That was his MO.
And like the little, like they don't really pray so much before dinner, but they kind of have their thing before dinner where all hands in.
I still like to call it a Woe Bundy, but that dates me.
Yes, it does. But they have that moment where I like. I don't remember the exact quote because I wasn't writing down a quote. Because I know the quote. It'd put a hole in John's roof though, so I won't say it right now. But there's that whole thing where he talks about. He's like, I think I might stay for a while, and just like that look around the family of like, yeah, he just chose his family, and like he fully realizes these are his brothers and sisters now. These are his parents, and he's in. And I love that moment. I think the kid sells it. I think the family sells it. I agree with you. I don't think I before we rewatched it, I didn't, but I don't think the foster dad is the greatest actor in the world. But I mean, again, these are very tiny complaints about the movie. I think he does fine. He just does fine.
Well, yeah.
he kind of gets stuck with the aw shucks moments, which is never really great for an actor.
No.
And that's kind of, if I had to pick, it's that kind of any of the extended kids, like everyone kind of in that foster house that isn't Billy Batson and the main kid, Freddie, yeah. They kind of get short shrift of everything else.
But Darla, I thought, got a pretty fair shake.
She got a fair shake, but like at the same time, you can tell that you want more of that. Like there's a definite lack of
the guy who played Pedro Pina, the overweight who becomes the muscle man. I think got the least to work with.
So he was also supposed to be like quiet. Like his thing was not saying much.
And that kind of didn't, like, for me, didn't translate as well. So like when he got his moment to be superhero, it was like, who is this one again? Like I had a moment of just like got confusion because I knew Adam Brody and then Zachary Levi, and I was like, those are the people, and then the two girls. But then who is this extra guy? Like I could never remember.
Yeah,
and
they did the Power Rangers thing the whole movie where they're all supposed to be wearing their colors.
Yeah. They tried to help out as much as they could because they really swung for the fences of like trying to have like the family establishment but also just the friendship establishment, and because of that the family kind of got left off a few too many times, which is a bit of a bummer, but it never fully took me out of the movie.
Well, which is why it was cool that they did what they did, making all the other kids a part of the superhero thing, because what that told me is like, just because we didn't get them now, if we get another movie, we are going to get them more. And like, we're going to give you that. It's just...
And it kind of makes sense in the world of the story where Billy never attaches himself to anyone. So the fact that he doesn't attach himself to really anyone in this family, so we don't get to know them because Billy's our point person, kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
So he really gets to know Freddie, so we get to know Freddie. He kind of knows Mary because she's the oldest, so we kind of know Mary. Darla forces herself into everyone's lives,
right,
so we kind of know Darla. The other two kids kind of stick to themselves, so we didn't get to know them. So it kind of like we get to know everything that Billy knows.
Yeah.
And I think just looking at it from that way, it worked. But as an audience member, it goes against what you want to see, which is a little bit of like a...
Or it's more
not
like
a problem, but it is kind of it sticks out.
Yeah, it kind of sticks out, like, as far as a nitpicky self would go. Like, that would be a touch point where it'd be like, oh, okay, that kind of didn't play as well. But,
Yeah.
I mean...
But I can see the decision. Like, I can see why they chose the way they went.
Yeah.
I just don't necessarily agree with it.
And having someone be quiet or introverted is a tough one.
It's a
Tough one to even be interesting, no matter how good of a director you are or filmmaker or creative.
Very much a cliche with that because he's quiet and he's overweight. And then when he gets into a superpower one, he's super muscular and looks very extroverty.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think there's 2 moments where they talk about how he likes to lift weights. Like when Darla has like her welcome to our house banner for Billy, he has weights on it. She's like, "Oh, his weights are here," and she has to move the weights off.
Yeah.
Like they tried. Like you can see the effort.
They can hint at it.
Yeah, they just didn't fully.
But it was the
connect.
same level of hinting at the same thing I had with the production design in the house of, look at this really like poor family. They have a gigantic house with multiple children, but there's holes in their walls.
What a shithole.
Oh, it's kind of like the
it's Hollywood poor.
Yeah, it's like
very Hollywood
the
poor.
Friends apartment and
Yeah.
the gigantic Friends apartment that they can only afford because it's somehow still under her grandma's name.
Something like that. Yeah. Whatever.
Okay, you're poor. I get it.
So I wonder if this is a good...
What was that?
There's a hand under the door.
This turned into a horror movie.
It's great.
It wasn't a cat. It was a human hand.
That's interesting. I wonder if this is I wonder if this is a good place to bring up the fact that like I didn't know anything about this going in, that there were some differences. Like this movie went in a different direction from just anything standard Shazam, and I just know nothing about this.
Not standard Shazam. It went. It really followed New 52 Jeff Johns Shazam.
Okay.
It followed that almost to the letter. Like even the house they live in looks like the house they live in the comics. Like they.
Okay.
Like they are right there.
Same holes in the walls.
Sure.
Exposed brick.
Yes.
Just because the paint's wearing off.
We get it.
Sorry.
It's Chewie, the production designer.
I mean, it's not bad. It actually works really well for the story in the way that it's a kids movie where it's a little heavy-handed but also subtle at the same time.
Yeah.
It doesn't really bother me. Yeah, it looks like Hollywood poor, but whatever. Like it doesn't really bother me.
No, it's funny.
But what I was saying is, so yeah, like the Jeff Johns book, like it really follows that. Like the end of the movie with Mr. Mind, he mentioned something about like we will rule the 7 realms, and it's like, well, what are the 7 realms?
Yeah.
They are currently in the 7 realms in the book.
Okay.
Like they are like this feels like a prequel to the current run of the comic. Like that's how in line they are.
Oh, really? Okay.
It's kind of crazy. Like the beginning of the current run of the book starts with Mr. Mind breaking out of the rock of eternity.
Yeah. No. It's so. Then do you see that this has then a good translation of that? Because having gone into this movie with absolutely no knowledge whatsoever, there were like a lot of things were just like, oh, interesting, cool. I want to know more. What's the like? I didn't feel like I was filling in the blanks.
No, and I don't think that it's necessarily a bad or a good interpretation of Shazam. It's its own thing, and I kind of like it for that.
Okay.
It really borrows a lot from the Jeff Johns stuff, which makes sense. He's a producer on it. Like, it kind of makes sense that you'd follow his thing, and he also made Shazam popular again. So more props to him there.
So because that's interesting, because I didn't feel lost. Even though I didn't know anything about it, I didn't feel lost in this, which it's hard to say for any of the other ones I've seen, because I have some cursory knowledge of some of these things.
Sure, yeah.
But then, like, when they get too out there, I start to get lost in the movie. I find starts to rely on it too much. I think that was kind of the downfall of the Green Lantern movie, unfortunately, when we talked about it.
A lot of downfalls on that one.
But that one is like, I was lost in space the whole time, just because, like, there was a lot that they were expecting you to kind of do an autocomplete for.
Well, that reads back into, again, it being just a really good movie following established tropes.
Yeah.
Because it is what I was describing with... this is your family. Like, you secretly are a superhero, essentially. I mean, he was gifted those things. It's not like he was born that way, but it plays out the same way. Like, you have been chosen. You are this thing. You didn't know you were this thing, and now you are, and this is... Sorry, we have, like, a demon coming out of the door.
What? Karina, what is up?
Are you done?
Not yet. You will get to say something into the mic, I promise.
The Karina demon. KD.
I could tell her breath.
So
done?
it's kind of like one of the reasons why I like Star Wars so much. I mean, I don't love this movie as much as I love Star Wars.
It's on record. Chewie loves Shazam as much as she loves Star Wars.
No.
Even more.
In 3 years,
Nope.
she's changing her name legally to Shazam.
No.
It will be weird.
Lots of lightning bolts, guys. It's going to be a light show. But it's that deep-rooted archetype of discovery and being like your true self, and you're a hero and you're good, and all those things you struggle with in your teenage years of, am I this? And in this for Billy Batson, yes, you are, because he's angsty beforehand, and then he finds his way throughout the film. He also had the different thing with Thad of Thad never had a support system, even though he had a family.
Yeah.
And Billy's the opposite. He has no family, but then he's given a support system. A very strong, loving, we will love you even if you run away family. And
Yeah.
Thad never had that.
That's true.
Thad's family came with expectations.
Yeah. I like I love that line from this the foster dad of, yeah, he's gonna run away and we'll be the first family to take him back.
Yeah.
Like I
Thad's dad wouldn't.
nope. Thad's dad, it could not be any more different.
He would have locked the door.
Yeah, and like but I kind of love those moments in this movie. Like I love the whole movie's essentially in a way about love and about accepting and choosing your family. And those moments were like Thad never got that opportunity, and then he ended up a total dick with a magic ball.
He thought he had that opportunity because the 7 deadly sins were all like, come find us.
Yeah.
And he spent his entire life trying to find them.
Yeah.
And then it turns out he was just a vessel that they were going to get rid of later.
My God, that the moment was Zach delivers that line so well of like a 14-year-old. He just nails it. It's like, Mister, I don't think these things have your best interest in mind. It's like,
It's kind of cool. I want to piggyback off just the immediate previous point.
yeah,
Just the setup of the difference between the hero and the villain. There seems to be a shorthand that we've developed because we see so many origin stories, and everyone's sick of origin stories. But I think what people are sick of is the lack of this of the shorthand, the just using the stereotypes, the tropes, just to get to the actiony bits. Whereas this spent time establishing the opposites of the two heroes.
yeah,
The hero and the villain. Just it spent time, and I think that was a very valuable thing this movie did. Apart, like at the expense of the more hero-y, flashy moments at the end, there was more of that establishment. And I think that's actually what made this thing work so well.
yeah, and it did it in a way that didn't call attention to itself.
Yeah,
Like it wasn't doing these like, all right, now we're getting to know Thad. Like it's just kind of like,
You get to know Thad first before you
Yeah.
get to know Billy.
yeah, you get Thad's whole lack of an origin right out of the gate.
and it plays with that idea of you're supposed to see the hero first. It's like, well,
Yeah.
he thought he was the hero, right? So like the movie was doing some really clever things with this, and just establish it. I think that's
Yeah.
what is important for these movies as we get so many of them. Is just if you can establish it first and build that foundation, man, we're gonna be there the whole way through. Like we're gonna
Yeah.
be on that train. We're gonna stay on the train and be happier for it.
Well, that and there's this thing right now with a lot of superhero movies, like take the other Captain Marvel that came out this year, which also I loved. For those of you who don't know, if you missed all the internet jokes, Shazam was originally called Captain Marvel, and then due to whatever the fuck happened, I've tried to read it a few times. It looks like it got really complicated. He ended up Shazam and
Somebody
Captain Marvel.
bought somebody's, and then they decided to do this.
Yeah.
And that copyright. Blah.
Money, copyright, blah blah blah. Somehow Disney's involved. Shazam is Shazam now. Either way, you go to the other Captain Marvel, and you have yet another origin story, and it's told very well. And if you're into these movies, you're going to like it. And if you're not, and you've just kind of been going to the superhero movies because they're the movies to see, you kind of went, that was all right. But a lot of those people really liked this one because I think this one proved that you can still do origin stories and we'll still show up for them if you tell them in an interesting way. And I feel where Captain Marvel was a great movie, it didn't really have anything new to say or do with the comic book movie archetype. And this one really wanted to go like, we're going to lean heavily into horror. We're going to lead really heavily into coming of age. And it just did these things very, very well. in a fun way, and it made us think of movies like Big, and it made us think of all the other DC movies in a somehow now more positive light, even though these are movies that we've been shitting on for years. Well, I haven't, but most of the people have. And it handled all of it in a way I didn't think was possible. Like, it did it great, and it made people actually enjoy it, which I think is awesome.
It just speaks to stop trying to be like that other guy. Don't keep up with the Joneses. Figure yourself out.
Yeah, and it took DC a little too long to finally, because they're like, we're going to do our own thing. Nobody likes our thing. We're going to do Marvel's thing. People kind of like it, but maybe we should do our own thing. And now I feel like Ryan, former co-host, thinks that started officially with Aquaman. I think it started here with Shazam.
The idea was there with Aquaman.
Yes.
But here they fully leaned in.
But with Aquaman, they definitely still had their hand in Marvel's back pocket, just kind of like taking things here and there. Whereas this one took very little and was very much its own thing. Yeah. Because even like these standard superhero moments of like, all right, we're both flying and we're going to attack each other. We're going to have our big speeches from over here.
Oh, what a great moment when I realized
that
what they were
makes
doing.
me think of the Matrix more than it makes me think of Marvel.
It honestly makes me think of Superman more than anything in Marvel. But it's still just like one of those very quintessential like superhero moments of like the showdown. And
What? Are you like
Forget
giving
this. I'm
a
just gonna
speech?
go.
Are you making like some big evil bad guy
I see your
speech?
mouth flapping.
All I see is blah 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 blah.
We're like miles apart, dude.
Oh, whatever.
such an organic joke, and I mean, yeah, I'll be the petty one. I do miss that in comic book movies.
Yeah.
The organic joke that comes from character and that just fits.
Yeah, it's not there to be breaking the world. Like a lot of humor, and I'm not just gonna be shitting on Marvel now. A lot of humor, just in general, right now, we've kind of gotten to the idea of like, oh, if you go against the grain, that's gonna make us laugh, and a lot of times it does. But there's something about having an in-world joke that works.
Yeah,
that's just wonderful, and
that's
to the other movie's credit. I get why they do it, because if you just took that out, my God, it would be too heavy and it would be too much. And so like the humor in there it works in the technical sense that like we've released some pressure, but like but you kind of are releasing the valve like often enough to where it's like you weren't in the yellow, you weren't in the red yet.
Well, like we spoke about the deep moment when he meets his mom,
right?
And that leads into the finale, the great like climax hurrah moment of the movie when he jumps off the roof.
I would say one of the best shot things in any comic movie.
Even though it was
ever.
in the trailer, I was just like, boom, like it was
still gives me
emotional punch when you're watching the movie. But also,
so good.
When Thad goes to his dad's boardroom,
it's such a good
that
scene.
sequence is so good. It's so evil. It doesn't let up the whole time. He's just.
It might be lifted directly out of Dogma, but that's okay.
It's fine. Whatever.
But just like imagine that played in a serious way. Like
and I also don't think it was directly lifted out of Dogma. They're just simpler. I'm not.
It was still shot like a children's movie.
Yeah.
But that sequence when the receptionist dude goes over and he's like, maybe I'll open the door. I'm gonna slowly, and then you just have all the bodies against the opaque glass going help, and then they all get ripped away. It's like fog style.
Yeah,
and it's fantastic. It's
awesome.
True horror film schlock there, and it doesn't let up. When he gives his father to Greed, that's a heavy moment. That he kills his dad, like.
And he doesn't even watch.
He's
the carelessness of it is just. Oh, and Greed. You can have him.
He's been waiting to do that for decades.
And even the beginning of it, I love the way that scene kicks off of him with his brother.
Yeah.
Like just like the outlook not so good and just like chucks him through the window. It's like, oh man, this movie is kicking things off. And it does it like it.
And even the haircut, just the hair looks like sleazy on the older brother.
Oh yeah, it's the same haircut from when he was a kid.
Yeah.
But it's true. Like that scene has teeth, and it's rough, and it's scary, and it's like, wow, way to go, movie.
Imagine Karina didn't watch this with you, right?
No.
But if she had, like during that sequence, do you think she would have been hiding under a pillow?
Well, coming into bed at night and like having problems going to bed, yes.
But like that's like, you don't really see that in any comic movie. DC, Marvel, whoever.
You rarely see that in kids' movies. That's like a Leica thing almost right now. They were the only people making kids' movies with scenes like that.
And then Missing Link happened. No scenes like
and no
that.
one saw Missing Link.
I liked Missing Link.
It was fun. It was all right.
It's probably their worst movie, but it's not a bad movie. Unlike Shazam, which is a great movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love that. That entire sequence is great. I really like Mark Strong as a villain. Like, I love Mark Strong pretty much anywhere.
Isn't he what he mostly plays?
He's not a villain in Kingsman.
Oh yeah.
No, but while you're watching that, you're thinking like he should be a villain. You should
Oh
double
yeah,
cross
you're
him.
waiting for him to become a villain.
Oh my
the
god,
whole
I
movie.
totally forgot. Like he has the best moment in the sequel.
There's a good moment in the sequel. I don't
When
remember
he's
that.
standing on the bomb and he starts singing like, what is that John Denver song?
That is a good sequence. That movie sucks, but that's a good sequence.
You know, and I normally kind of hate the typecasting thing, but in this situation, it hasn't proven detrimental yet. Like he oozes that conflicted evil.
Yeah.
That just through his act, like through his presence, he's able to kind of have that duality of like he's the hero in his own story, you know, thing.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
being told a little dickbag about it.
Yeah, he has the exact feelings and emotion that Hayden Christensen should have had in Revenge of the Sith. Like it's like that exact like.
So it should have been Mark Strong the whole time in the prequel trilogy.
But like that's the thing is like he's made up his mind. He knows it's wrong, but he's also fine with it.
Yeah.
And Mark Strong nails that. He's like, yeah, I know. Like people keep calling him supervillain, and he doesn't flinch at it. He's like, yeah, if the shoe fits, I guess that's what I am. Whatever. And but you get that feeling from him. They call him a supervillain. He's like, I guess I am trying to kill children. The kid has a point.
Yeah.
Ugh, I just love that moment in the mall. Supervillain! Supervillain! No
Even
one.
again when he calls him on the phone later, like, come home, Billy. Billy! Supervillain! Supervillain! Oh, it's a good moment. But seriously,
If you ever yell that in real life, no one's gonna care.
No, they sure wouldn't. The best yell of the entire movie is the last line in the movie. The very last thing is Freddy's line. He goes, "Ah!" It's so good.
Yeah.
Well, I saw that because as that scene was happening, he's like, I brought someone else in. I was like, who else could they possibly bring in this singular movie in a singular universe? Superman. Oh, like I did a mental version of that gasp. I was like, oh right, they're connected.
It was so good. And like I wish they could have gotten Henry for it, but I realized that DC is kind of in a weird place with Henry right now, and that's kind of a bummer.
But even just having the context of that suit
Yeah.
in the high school just really kind of gives you a bit of a mind fuck.
Yeah, but it was good.
Yeah.
I
think that has the best, because I really hate the Spider-Man Homecoming ending, because it's one where Aunt May finds out he's Spider-Man, and she's like, what the fuck? And it cuts to Blitzkrieg Bop.
Yeah.
Music that the kids in that generation would never even have known about.
Oh, they do. That one, that tracks entirely. I talked to people about that one specifically because it annoyed me. And the guy who had a daughter the same age as Spider-Man in that movie is like, oh no, they love the Ramones.
Okay.
They had another really big resurgence for some reason.
For whatever reason,
Dude,
it like
the
that.
Ramones.
The Ramones are awesome, yeah.
Dude, that's just another phase you go through in like being a teenager. Everyone goes through their punk phase.
Well, true.
Yeah.
And there's only one good
But
era
Spider-Man
of
is
punk
not.
music.
Spider-Man is not punk. Like that was always like.
There's a punk Spider-Man. He wears a denim vest and he's got spikes on his head.
They're
But not in Homecoming.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah,
At that point,
so-
you're right.
So as far as like the point being, like the moments that feel false, the ending of that felt so incredibly false to me when I watched it.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I didn't like this one as much. Whereas with this,
Get excited for Far From Home.
yeah, ugh, great. Whereas this, when that happened and then the music happened after, like it's the same exact moment between the two movies.
Yeah.
Shazam does it a million times better with a much better character
yeah.
moment and payoff. That just chef's kiss times 100.
Oh my God.
Like I really liked how this thing ended, and for movies like this, that the end for me, it kind of has to like it's got to hit.
And it's one of those, it's such a sweet moment. Like it's just very sweet because at this point they're cool.
Yeah.
Like they're so fine. Like they're all superheroes. They're going to start figuring out how to do it. They're
Yeah.
going to start eating. They're changing their lunch times to sit together. Like
You
they're
can't. You don't have that freedom as a kid.
You
by
totally
the way.
don't, but they're superheroes, so whatever.
They'll make it happen. They're superheroes.
But like, it's just.
I'd like to see them go up to their teacher and say that.
All they have to do is say Shazam, and then like,
Classroom's gone.
do what I say. I want to eat lunch with my brother.
And then the boys come in and go,
Anyhow, so it's just kind of like this sweet moment of like the movie's done at this point, everything's fine, but then you don't know Superman's coming. You just think it's Billy finally doing what he said he would, even though he doesn't have to now, and they all know he doesn't have to. And you kind of have that moment where the kid who plays Freddy just nails it, just like that, slightly embarrassed, like, "Oh, guys, you didn't have to do this."
My best friend. Here he is, Freddy. We've been friends forever. He taught me everything I know.
It's the coolest kid ever.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's just kind of sweet, and it's like, oh. And that's entirely what he's thinking. He's like, I love my brother. Holy shit, Superman.
Yeah, I watched that scene like 4 times, which is cool because in my rental on Amazon I could do that.
Yeah.
I can do it for like 30 more days, I think.
I didn't pre-order the Blu-ray like the day I saw it. But whatever. Yeah, Amazon rental. What haven't we hit in this movie? Is there anything that we've really missed? We didn't really talk a lot about the kids, but neither does the movie. That feels like more of a thing for the sequel. Spent a lot of time on Mark Strong. You know what we didn't really talk about, and we definitely should? We didn't talk about Zach. We've just kind of mentioned that we
I would also talk about costumes.
Zach, and actually his costume is almost a character in the movie. They spent so much fucking money on that
He
costume.
is not that muscular, but he did bulk up for this movie.
He did.
You could
And
see it on his face.
You could see it in his face, and I don't think the costume was exaggerated too much to where he looked funny. Like, and I know they wanted the suit to look funny.
He did look a little puffy. Like, if I stood next to him, I'd feel the urge to, like, poke him.
Yeah,
bit.
but I don't think it was puffy to the point where you felt like he was wearing, like, a muscle suit.
No. It's
That-
not like Arnold Schwarzenegger, even though that was real back then and was just scary.
It is interesting, and why I also picked for our Wherever We've Been Doing the Boys.
Yeah.
Watch the costumes on that with that budget versus like this. And you can see that for Shazam, they spent budget on this costume.
Oh, yeah.
Because the physique is believable, even if it's a little heightened. Just like, okay, I could picture it, but it never shows its seams. Where when you have a television show budget, like it kind of does, and it's very interesting to see how these shows and movies play the costume off. And Shazam, did a very good job.
Well, Shazam, they really leaned into it a lot, and I think that was the right idea because what he wears is ridiculous. Like he's always kind of worn a ridiculous. He's got the shorty cape. He's got like a big fucking lightning bolt on his chest. He's got looks like power cufflinks. Like he just looks a little ridiculous. And they could have done the modern superhero things. Thank you, Bryan Singer. Of like, yeah, we realize that these costumes are ridiculous. Like who wants Wolverine in yellow spandex? Fucking everyone, by the way.
Yeah.
But we're gonna put him in black leather and look cool. And ever
He's
since
got some
then,
yellow stripes on his black leather.
Sure. Don't get me started on that. I'm still bitter.
It's a black X with a yellow stroke on it, using Photoshop terms, at number 3 or 4.
I've had time to deal with this, and I'm still mad about it. But either way, I'm mostly mad about it because of that. It rippled throughout all of comic book movies, and they always have to make them look a little bit more like cool. And this one's just like, no.
I do understand the sentiment. Because like if you had the power, if you had the tools to make him look cool, it's like I want this, I want to make it look cool. I would have I'd have to rein myself in.
Yeah, and that's I think where DC has started going like, man, people love these characters partially because of their costumes. Why would we take those away?
Yeah.
Let's put Aquaman in his orange shirt and green pants, because why not?
Yeah.
Let's put Shazam in his completely ridiculous suit.
Yeah.
People will like it, and I think they're right 100% both times.
Yeah.
I
You've got 2
love
movies
this.
in a row that have made it work.
Yeah, they made this completely stupid costume work so well.
Yeah.
And I think...
The costume maketh the man.
Yeah. But I think partially, and this will bring it back to Zach, partially why both of them work so well is because the actors in them own it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Zach owned being Shazam.
They clearly both love playing these characters.
Yeah,
They're
for
not
sure.
just doing it because it's cool to be in comic book movies these days.
No, I didn't get that from either one of them. But more so, not more so either way, but like I want to spend more time talking about Zach. I could talk Aquaman all day, every day.
You would believe that those two actors together would decide to play the Shazam thing in real life on people.
Oh yeah, and that's kind of the thing that like I loved about Zach in this. It's like, and it's actually I think he loved playing this role so much that it takes me out of the movie just a hair. Because there's points where you can tell he's having so much fun just being this crazy superhero, like when he's doing the floss thing. A lot of times in like those test videos, which I still think are great. I love the secret fire test, teleportation test, secret fire test. But you see almost, not quite, but almost more Zach than Billy.
Yeah.
And those are the moments where Shazam does not feel like an adult version of Billy. It feels like
It is
a different thing.
It is playing in that territory that
Yeah.
Ryan Reynolds plays in with Deadpool.
Yeah.
It's like the two are so like they're too similar to where it's like you can't tell the one from the other.
Yeah.
That it kind of takes you out, especially if you're in like the second movie where you're like, okay, I'm with you because it's funny enough, but like, yeah, you can kind of see that seam.
I just started making a movie of Shazam and Deadpool hanging out in my brain, and it's amazing.
Oh, that'd be a really
Maybe
fun
like
movie.
Deadpool will just go up to Shazam and be like, "Ha! We're both boys in man's bodies."
I think Deadpool would just try to get him to say Shazam as much as humanly possible.
Shazam! Shazam! Shazam!
So Zach was really good in this movie.
He was.
But
Adult Zach was very good in this movie.
yeah, to the point that you were saying, though, as long as he wasn't Zach, he was great. And I think the few moments where he flipped into being Zach instead of being Shazam were so few and far between that I'm kind of willing to let him have those moments. Because clearly he's having the time of his life, and more power to him.
It's a buy-in I accept for this movie.
And it's
Exactly.
about time in my brain.
He's great.
He was amazing in Chuck, and he has spent so much time being a proponent for geek culture and comic books, and really he likes being a part of things. Even when Chuck was almost getting canceled and they were trying to find ways to crowdsource the show, he went out there and he started a subway run with people, or I don't remember exactly how it went, but he hung out with the fans.
Yeah.
Like, he is all in. When he really loves something, he's all in.
And it's nice to have him be able to play a crazier role, because in Chuck, it's unfortunate, like, he's so good in it, but he gets to be the straight man, the reactionary to all these other crazy characters. And so, like, you can kind of feel after a while, you're like, I bet Zach could do some crazy stuff if they let him.
Yeah.
And this lets him do some crazy stuff, I think. Like,
I always thought Baldwin was more the straight man in that show.
But like the extreme version of it, though. Like he's always reacting to
Side
these
conversation.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, honey. You never watched Chuck.
I've seen about 5 episodes.
Yeah.
Love the show, but
I like those 5 episodes.
Yeah.
They're
I
good.
Still haven't watched the last 2 because I was really angry about how they were ending the show. But
Bummer. Quotes?
quotes.
Mine's pretty simple. Shazam.
Mine I already mentioned. Say my name, Billy. I just love that moment. I really do.
I love a good telegraph joke. Like, oh, this is what's coming. Here it is.
So I don't have the exact of it, but the moment where he's first meets Billy, Freddy does, and he gets him twice about his disability and thinking he has cancer.
Yeah.
And that moment where it was like, I'm sorry, Billy Batson, you've just been like overshadowed for at least the first third of this movie with that introduction. That's my moment.
The whole like the oh, that's a far fall. Believe me, I know. He pushed me. It gets real Game of Thrones around here. Oh, that kid's so good. Review system for today. How many and what kind of toy Batman would you throw at this movie?
Toy Batman?
It's a scene from the movie.
How many different toy Batmen would you throw at them?
And what kind of Batman?
There's so many versions of Batman.
I know.
I can go. I would throw one from each iteration in from smallest to largest. Just
Okay.
yeah.
There you go. I think there'd be a really big Batman at some point you're throwing on, but I like it.
Yeah. No, like it's gonna get crazier and crazier.
Yeah.
Like the movie.
Okay. Do you have something?
No, I have to think about all the different versions of Batman.
I would take a really nice Batman black and white statue. If you're familiar with like the black and white statues that DC does, where they take them and they just paint everything black and white as opposed to the full color.
Yeah.
Like one of those really nice, like buy it new, it'd be $30. Buy it from Comic-Con, it'd be like $800. Like one of those. I'd take one of those and lightly just kind of lob it at the movie. More like a gift, but I have to throw it at it. Otherwise I'm not fulfilling my thing. But like, hey, I love this Batman statue and I love you. Have it. I hope it doesn't break when I throw it at you.
Yeah. Catch, please.
All right, well, I'll go with Batman Forever Batman.
Ooh.
Ow.
Whatever.
No, good.
No, that's
You're
a
throwing
good-
a Val Kilmer Batman at it?
Yeah, Val Kilmer Batman. Because, again, I still think that's a great Batman. He looked amazing in the role. He had a certain amount of kitsch to him. He knew when to lean into his comic book lines and when to just kind of be Batman. Like, I really like that movie.
I can't argue with your defense of it, but I'm always going to have a problem with the version of Batman until they finally let him turn his goddamn neck.
Okay, whatever.
It annoys the bejesus out of me.
Yeah, well, he got to do that when he was tactical Batman during Christian Bale years.
In the second movie, they still did a whole full movie of,
Yeah, no, he didn't figure it out until movie 2, yeah.
Whatever. It's still, like, I think that Batman Forever is a great level of cheese for Batman. You haven't gone full Batman MasterCard like the other, like Batman and Robin bullshit, but you got the kitsch.
Oh,
This is
right.
why Superman works alone. God, that's such a bad movie that I've seen so many times.
Oh,
Which
I imagine
one?
a Blu-ray transfer
Yeah.
of...
Batman and Robin.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I haven't seen that movie. I don't want to watch that movie very many times.
I mean, neither do I.
I imagine just the Blu-ray transfer of those movies would just be just exquisite to look at from color.
We have
and-
them on Blu-ray. They're not bad.
Yeah.
They're not bad. They're okay. I mean, Batman Forever looks better because it was just a better movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the movie that Schumacher wanted to make. And then Batman and Robin was Schumacher trying to do Schumacher and everyone else going, no, we need to sell more toys and you need to do this, and you need to do that, you need to do that. Talk about being noted to hell. I'll watch Batman Forever again, but I don't want to watch Batman Forever.
I would watch them both.
No.
You kind of have to. I mean, it's
Oh,
terrible.
There's too many nipples in it. This is weird.
The nipples come from Batman Forever, the movie you were just defending. Anyhow,
But it's not. But they don't have so many resting shots like they do in Batman and Robin.
Sure.
I think you're wrong, but I'd have to watch them
Okay,
both.
we have to keep track.
Yes! Drink every time there's a nipple.
2. You have to see
that's
both.
I regret to
double
inform
shot.
Yeah.
I regret to
Double
inform you. I regret to inform you the podcast is over because they
My
died.
God, that would be the weirdest way for CBD to ever be called on. CPD to be called on us.
I'd be kind
Whatever
of
it's
proud
called.
of it.
We're like,
Parents were so drunk while playing a drinking game to Batman and Robin. Anyhow, we've totally got off the rails. I think it's time to do plugs and say goodbye. So be sure to listen to all of our shows on the ATH Network, which have been crushing it. We have, of course, Venture Bros, Samwise, Demon Days, and Damage Boost. Special shout out to Damage Boost because it's our newest show, and Brock has been doing a great job. He had a 2-hour episode which we released in the Venture Brothers feed and also on the Damage Boost feed. You got to check it out. It was a really, really heartfelt, great conversation about both video games and about mental health. Oddly enough, it came up. And then he just did an episode 2 weeks ago with Alex Arona from a friend of mine from college, and that episode was also great. Although Alex is really into Bomberman, which I don't think I know anyone who's into Bomberman. But apparently Alex loved the shit out of it. So I guess good to know someone did. That's all I really have to plug.
Yeah, no, it's a weird game. Each version is just different enough to be tough to latch onto if you've done the previous one, and you always never know how to play it what someone else playing against you does, and they beat. I don't know. I've never had fun with it.
I hate Bomberman. But now that we're even farther off the rails, I'm going to say goodbye.
goodbye.
Make sure you go check out Shazam because it was great. Remember when we were talking about that half
so
an hour
much
ago?
fun.
Bye.
Batman Robin sucks.
Thanks.